checking out Comrade, an indie game podcast where every 2 weeks we bring you 2 indie games and tell you what we like about them. I'm Nick Glauber.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this week we're doing RPG special. We're doing Costume Quest and Cthulhu Saves the World.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to start with Costume Quest, which is a role-playing game developed by Double Fine and published by THQ back in 2010, right in time for Halloween.
Yep. So might be one of the older games we've done so far on the show.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
Yeah, another classic Double Fine with all its fallings too, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But
yeah. let's focus on the positive at least first. What is cool about Costume Quest, Nick?
So Costume Quest, one of the things that I really like about it, it's got a real childhood charm to it, and I think my favorite example of that is that you play as kids who are going around trick or treating, and various things happen, but it's an RPG, as we said, and the real neat thing is when you get into battles, your kids' imaginations take over, and you play as real big, awesome versions of what your kids are in their homemade costume version of.
And it's it's standard things like robots, but there's also a character who dresses up as the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah,
which is a hilarious little kid costume
awesome.
that I've never seen.
Right.
And they all kind of correspond to different powers you can have. And the costume thing is really prevalent here. Like you're going around collecting pieces and stuff. Crafting system where you can make new costumes. It's actually better than most crafting systems.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of find the parts for new kind of abilities, and you kind of it's almost like a job system, like a Final Fantasy job system. Like I'm going to be the knight. I wear the knight costume. I do the knight things.
Every character can wear every costume, so you can kind of make your team around what the benefits of each costume are, and outfit your team effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and it's beautiful
to
look at. The lead designer on it, the lady who made it, was a former Pixar designer, and it looks really good. The graphics and just kind of design is really, really charming.
I agree. A lot of this game is just bleeding charm.
Yeah.
Which is kind of Double Fine's MO, basically.
That is totally. They're this weird studio made out of polish in a very specific way.
Yep.
And not in a very other specific way. And this game is weird for Double Fine because Double Fine takes a long time to make games, or at least previously did, up until this point. And then they started doing these Fortnite things, things, and the Double Fine Fortnite, or Amnesia Fortnites, they're called, where everyone just kind of does a game jam in 2 weeks, and this is a product of that. So they had these games that came out quickly, and they were not allowed to spend all this time in development and gain complexity, which ended up being not impacting the charm, but ended up contributing to probably the biggest downfall of this game.
Right.
Is that it is such a babby RPG.
Yes.
Like it is mechanically simple to the point of playing itself.
Yeah, it's one upside to it is that there's no grinding, but the one downside to it is you're gonna win every match with absolutely zero problem.
Yeah, and there's so little, there's very little character customization other than just which costume you want. You don't have very many choice of moves. There's no sense of tactics or anything. And it's the idea of introducing kids to RPG mechanics, I really like.
Yeah, I think this is actually probably a really good kids game. In that regard, it's actually it's charming, it's cute, it's got basic game mechanics, basic adventure mechanics, basic RPG mechanics, but a lot of it falls short of being able to hold an adult's attention.
Yeah, it's very short, and I've gone through it once, but after I beat it, I was like, well, that was really boring. I don't want to do that again, even though it only takes it's the same amount of time it takes to watch a long movie. It is like a Wolf of Wall Street length game. It's 1.5 Wolves of Wall Street. Super short, but I don't think you can find something better to give to a kid. It's also explicitly Halloween themed and not haunted themed, which I like. There are a lot of games that are horror themed, but this is actually about Halloween, which is a totally different thing and carries different connotations.
Yeah, the main plot basically is you're just kids going around trick or treating. What's kind of cool is you pick which of the 2 siblings you want. One's a boy, one's a girl, and the plot will advance through which one you choose, in that the other one dresses up in a candy corn costume and gets abducted by these creatures who think that they are a piece of candy.
Yep, called Grubbins.
They're called Grubbins, yeah.
Yep, Grubbins. The DLC for this is called Grubbins on Ice, which I've never played.
I didn't bother to play. It was out when I first played, but I assumed it was more the same, and I think I was right. So
yeah, yeah. It's kind of boring to play. Did you ever play Final Fantasy Mystic Quest?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And that's a similar idea. Like, it was meant to be like, Westerners are too dumb to play an RPG. Like, how can we make this simple? That wasn't explicitly made for kids, but I had a similar experience where it's like, this is just too dumbed down for me.
Yeah.
And I think you can do simple, and we'll learn about this a lot in the next episode, actually. You can do simple mechanics and have them kind of dumbed down and have it work if they're kind of action based.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can handle a simple game, but RPGs I don't think work with that level of simplicity. Yeah, I need a level of complexity with an RPG.
And you can do the theme and even like the mechanical, no need to grind, sort of stripped down RPG and still come out with a good game. Like Earthbound, obviously way more complex than this, but it's a very childhood themed game that you definitely could play as an 8-year-old and get perfectly far.
Yeah, and it's kind of evoking childhood in a way that, like, the best in child entertainment works for adults as well. That's why Adventure Time is such a masterpiece, is because obviously kids like it, but there's a lot there for adults. Like, it transcends. And this, the humor and the writing is something I'm really interested in. But like, is the thing with Double Fine for me is that, like, I just don't like playing their games that much.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not that fun to play. Like, I love the writing, I love the design, I love the concepts behind them. I think it's so great that they exist. And then when it comes to time to sit down and actually play the games, like, I just don't have very much fun with it.
You recently replayed Psychonauts, right? Did you do that for...
We haven't done it for Watch Out for Fireballs. I played it maybe like 2011.
Okay. That's the one game of theirs that I think is actually well-rounded. It's still a very basic platformer, but it's not as kind of bad.
It really approaches it. Like, I don't think the platforming in Psychonauts is that great. I still like Psychonauts. Like, I think that's a good game. And the rest of the stuff it does is interesting. Like, the platforming is inoffensive.
Yeah.
And the rest of the stuff is really good.
That's exactly kind of what I'm going for. Is it some of their other games, like Brutal Legend and Costume Quest, they fall so short as to be fighting the game just to get to the writing and charm.
Yeah, exactly. You're just trying to get to the next cutscene.
Yeah, I didn't have to fight Psychonauts. It still wasn't great. There was nothing revolutionary, nothing super good about the platforming, but it wasn't offensive enough to like me fighting the game to get to the next level.
I agree. And I fought Brutal Legend really hard.
Oh man, me
because
too.
I really wanted to like Brutal Legend. Like, I got to the whole, like, the second world, like the goth enemy, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I like the idea of these things. And the play was just so not fun. And
I beat that game. I went all the way through that game.
No,
yes.
Like, I'm interested in everything Double Fine does. I'll always be interested in it. I won't always want to play everything. Yep. And it's I would love for them. I haven't played Broken Age yet. I'm very interested in it though, because it feels like it's in their bailiwick, because play is not what they do well, and it's an adventure game, so the play is very different.
I've played most of the first half that's been released so far, and it's there's nothing inoffensive, and it's an adventure game and does everything adventure games do right, and yet has this beautiful artwork from their artist and this fantastic writing. So I think Broken Age is going to prove to be probably their best all-around game once it's completed.
Yeah, I believe it. I for sure can see that being the case. So Costume Quest, again, a little hard to recommend, but worth, it's usually pretty cheap. If you have kids, I think it's a kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Did you ever play Iron Brigade?
Very little of it. I wanted to like that a lot more too. I think I probably could have liked that if I was not already exhausted with tower defense at the time it came out. It does have that's one where their whole point was this twist on a mechanic, not really about story. Like, the story wasn't as well developed, the setting, the art, there wasn't as much emphasis on that. It kind of had a cool twist on the mechanic, but it was already so played out, and I had already played so many tower defense games that it didn't do anything new enough to hook me.
Yeah, and just kind of doing the Double Fine thing too. Is like I end up, I don't love it, but I do like the Cave. Like, I think the Cave is a pretty good game.
I still need to play that. I
Yeah.
haven't played it since we checked it out at PAX. So.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's somewhere on the spectrum from like Costume Quest to Psychonauts, more
Yeah.
towards the Psychonauts end of things.
Cool.
So
Good to know.
yeah. Second thing we're gonna do is Cthulhu Saves the World by Zeboyd Games. This is another kind of take on the RPG genre. Kind of twisted, new, more modern indie take on the JRPG genre specifically.
Yep, and it's probably best known for constantly being bundled with another game of theirs, Breath of Death 7: The Beginning.
Mm-hmm. Which is there is no Breath of Death 1 through 6. Nope. It's called The Beginning. It's a pretty funny game.
Yeah, these guys are pretty cool. So yeah, Gary, what do you like specifically about Cthulhu Saves the World?
I like Cthulhu Saves the World because it does so many, and speaking of Earthbound, like it does a lot of ease of use tricks that I want every JRPG to use, and I want to have patched into every JRPG I've ever played. Yep. Like they're really just very good anti-frustration kind of measures in a game, and it's got, it's not, I don't think it's as funny or as well written as Costume Quest. It's lighthearted and weird and meta in a way that's kind of fun, but it also functions as a game. And it's also like a short RPG, which like a JRPG experience that only lasts an afternoon is really rare and something I value. So it just does a lot of things right. It's a bite-sized RPG that does tons of things right.
And I was really, really feeling that until the one point where it didn't quite work. I reached one boss where I couldn't not grind and kind of was out of everything I needed to defeat him, and just kind of didn't get past it. I probably could have, like, if I just went back to the last area and grinded out a couple more enemies and leveled up one more time, I could have been fine fighting this enemy. But I fought this boss like I forget. I think his name is something to do with blades. He's a big sword. And Edge, I think maybe his name is. He's a main guitarist.
Yeah, for you two.
For you two.
Yeah, yeah. He feels numb.
But
yeah.
But I ran up against him, tried to fight him like 5 times, and restarted, and didn't get past that. But I did really like everything up to that point because it felt exactly like frustration-free RPG. It just has a lot of really good mechanics to get around the JRPG-ness of JRPGs.
Yeah, so one thing just to think about, like I remember when I played it, I probably did have to grind at a couple bosses, and the game does get harder as it goes, but it's not it's not the standard. Like, it's the exception when you're doing that. Like, I remember, one of my favorite, games, it's still one of my favorite games, but Final Fantasy IV has a part you literally can't get past until you get to a certain level. Like, there's a spell you need to get past a plot boss, and you have to get to level 54 to get past it. Like, it's very, very grindy in a way that is, like, kind of unacceptable. In this game, it happens every once in a while. It doesn't happen a lot, though. And with there's also like a lot of, when you say, you can go back and gain one level, like, levels matter a lot in this game, which is something I really like in RPGs.
Yeah.
Like, I want a level to feel like I am getting new cool powers and I am more powerful. I do not want it to be this tiny incremental advantage.
Yeah, so that's one thing it does really great. It also health restores after every battle.
Yep.
So the only thing you really need to manage between battles is your MP.
Yep. Status effects don't stay after battles.
Yep.
So you're not walking around poisoned.
Including death.
Yep.
If one of your guys makes it out of a fight, then both your teammates, or however many you get at by the end of the game, are fully healed.
Yeah.
Random battles exist, but they have a maximum in an area, which is fantastic.
That should be in every RPG ever.
Yes.
Like someone should have thought of that years ago. And then they just become optional. So if you want to grind, you just go to the menu and say, I want to fight. And it just totally makes sense. Like, your character walks around until they fight something, even though you've mostly cleared it out. You're hunting at that point rather than being ambushed. The healing everybody after death, like, in an RPG, if one of your guys survives a fight and you're poisoned, the best thing you could hope from that is some kind of sense of tension trying to get back to the last town. But that tension could be totally ameliorated through grinding supplies. So anything that is just about supplies in this game, the game kind of hand waves.
Yep.
Like a good tabletop game. Like, if you're playing a tabletop game with somebody and they're making you keep track of the equipment weight that you have, find a new DM. If a JRPG that's making you like micromanage these in Final Fantasy games, which again I love, but there is a status item for every single status effect.
Yep.
And this game, just doesn't pull that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, the only item there is, besides equipment you can upgrade, is the potion. And the potion just heals you. I think it might actually be the potion heals you to full health.
I think it does a lot. I think it heals you to full health, at least initially.
Yeah.
There's a couple other really interesting systems. When we talked about the leveling up, at every level up, you make a choice. So you're kind of making a build for a character, but without having the entire complexity of like a stat tree, as you would in a Diablo.
Right.
So like when you're playing as Cthulhu for the first bit, your very first level up is like, do you want to be, a fighter or a mage, essentially? What path do you want to take them down?
Yeah, they try to do a little bit of something like that, like in Mario RPG, and there's been a couple of attempts at that, but this does it there's way more effect from the choice than Mario RPG. Mario RPG is just which stat do you want to emphasize.
Yeah. Yeah. And then these are not always stats. Like sometimes it's like, do you want this power or this power?
Yep.
And there's a cool opportunity cost to that. Like, do I want to create this character as a healer or as a damage dealer or as a area control, like, a status inflicting character? You get a lot of party members too that all have different strengths as far as that go. Like some characters are better at different things. And, there's this interesting, these two like interesting kind of insanity mechanics, to it. One of which is that enemies, as you fight them, they get more desperate and crazy. So every round, their damage goes up.
Yep.
Giving you this kind of like sense of tension and the stakes going up. But also, you can make enemies insane. And if you do, they will take more damage usually because they're more reckless. Even though some of them will do more damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
so
that point.
Insanity does benefit some creatures, but for the most part, it makes you do more damage. And there's another part of the tension building aspect is the faster you complete a battle, the more MP you get back at the end of it.
Yes. Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yep.
That's very cool. It's giving you have to fight smart and get through it as quick as possible. So this thing that is usually just kind of a grind, you actually have to think about, more than just kind of tapping A because you're incentivized to get through it as quick as possible. And you can take more risk because you get your health back at the end of the fight. There are also powers that build off insanity specifically. Like, the more insane an enemy is, you do more damage to them, things like that. Like, and the characters, end up getting this kind of Chrono Trigger-esque combo system, where each character has a different, interacts with the other characters in different ways to do different special attacks.
Yep.
So your party composition matters a lot, in a way that is just it's just very good. And, Breath of Death 7 has a lot of those mechanics too. They're both like, and then they did, the Penny Arcade games, which I haven't played.
Right.
But, the idea of this company that just wants to like, let's face it, JRPGs as a genre kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of shit.
Yeah, but they have this golden nostalgia for, 8-bit, 16-bit era JRPGs and want to just clean them up and make their own games that are those games, but with all the bad mechanics stripped away.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
That's great. And you can get, Cthulhu Saves the World, like, on Steam with Breath of Death 7. It oftentimes comes up for 99 cents.
Yeah.
You can play both of those games on your phone if you have an iPhone. It's very easy to get a hold of, and you play it in an afternoon. Like I played it literally. I had these two coworkers who were trying to convince me to watch movies, and they're terrible movies. They were like, "You've never seen Anger Management? You have to watch Anger Management." And then another one of my coworkers was like, "You've never seen Transformers? You have to watch Transformers." So I sat there and like played this game while having both those movies on in the background. It's like fucking Anger Management. Transformers movie's fucking awful, but just like got through Cthulhu Saves the World and had a really good time.
That's awesome.
And just worked really well for it.
Yeah, so it's worth noting they're working on a much bigger project now called Cosmic Star Heroine.
Mm-hmm.
Heroine being the female hero, not the drug.
Yeah, Cosmic Star Heroine would be a totally different. They're working on a project. We just outed them, and they're going to get arrested. Yeah.
But yeah, they launched a Kickstarter last October. And it was funded, and I backed it because I really like these two guys who are Zeboyd, and I want to see some more stuff from them, even if I couldn't quite spend the focus on finishing this one.
Yeah, and if you ever like want to feel like if you ever have to watch Transformers, like just fire back up and grind like one level, and you'll get past that part. Like
for sure,
you it's not too frustrating, and I did beat it in an afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah, good game. The plot is which we didn't talk about. Like one of the things about Cthulhu, like I love Lovecraft stuff and I like Cthulhu. He's become a real irritating internet thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't like everyone who likes Cthulhu. And this has a little bit of that like LOL Cthulhu
Yeah.
going on a little bit, but it's a little bit more self-aware than that, and there are deeper references
Good.
to Lovecraft stuff, which I like.
I didn't get much of them, so I didn't come across many in the little bit of the game I played. So we're going to do the tiniest spoiler section ever.
Super brief.
Yeah, so that Gary can tell me how this game ends, and also some cool Lovecraftian references that I didn't manage to reach.
Super brief. And
Super
it also
brief.
should be noted that I did not play this game again for the show right now. It's something I played back in the day when I was watching Transformers and Anger Management. So my memory, I picked it back up on my phone and played the first couple areas to refresh my memory, but I haven't beat it recently. Until next time, if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and support us monetarily. That's very much appreciated.
Yep, and also, tell your friends if you like the show, or rate and review us on iTunes, all of which will get us, to more ears, ears similar to yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. And find us on Facebook at facebook.com/check it out comrade and talk to us there. I'm not always the best as far as putting stuff up on there, but I try to put up things that are relevant, sales on games that we've done, etc.
Kickstarters from people we like, stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
Indeed. And let's do a super tiny spoiler section.
All right, little ditty. We'll be right
back. Okay. The game, the kind of plot is you trying to become a hero. Like you are cursed and you have to become a hero. And Cthulhu overhears the narrator, which is why he has to do it. And the specifics of the actual ending, I know you end up in Relay, which is where Cthulhu lives in real life. But and the end boss is actually the main character of Breath of Death 7.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. And, but you do a lot of like reference things to weird, deep Lovecraft stuff. Like you end up in Innsmouth, you fight Nyarlathotep. There's a part, one of your party members is one of the Cats of Althar, which like, the Cats of Althar are a really weird Lovecraft thing of these super intelligent talking cats that have a very strict military. Like, the Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath is one of the fucking most bonkers stories that he's ever written. And there's a part where, like, the main, Randolph Carter ends up on, the planet, like, the cats are on, I can't remember, I guess Althar. And, it's just like this general cat walking back and forth in front of dozens of cats standing at attention.
That's awesome.
And, talking about this war that they're at with these moon beasts. So you can get a cat of Althar on your team.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like there are a couple different explicitly Lovecraftian things and some just kind of monster things.
Yeah.
That you run into.
Cool.
I think that the you get a lady caster who I think is one of the Whateleys, which is one of the stories escaping me right now, but one of the big Lovecraft stories.
Yeah. I think I know. I think I know the one.
Yeah.
That family.
Yeah, the family in Kingsport.
Yeah.
As the name of the town. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the story right now, but it's Kingsport, damn it, though. But there's a lot of stuff like that, and you do succeed. But the whole thing is super tongue in cheek. And if you are familiar at all with the literature, there's a lot to like about it, because there are a lot of little Easter eggs and the like.
I don't think they did an Android port, which is unfortunate, because that seems like it'd be the perfect venue to just waste time when I'm doing, someone trying to get me to watch Transformers.
Yeah, next time when Transformers in the Dark of the Sun or whatever the fuck the next one is comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have any more. There's not really plot twist or anything. Like as we said, short spoiler section.
Cool. Well, some short game, short spoiler section, short episode. So
yeah.
Thanks for checking us out, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.